Hi everyone, it's Helen from Heritage Organic Seeds, and today we're going to start the sow along for our Tomato Cerise that was in our February subscription box. So Tomato Cerise is an Italian heirloom and it is going to give us a lovely abundance of delicious cherry tomatoes. So let's get sowing. So as normal, you have in your box your little insert which has some information about each variety, and then on the back is the sowing and growing instructions. So for our tomatoes, it says to bring some compost indoors to warm up before you sow your seeds, because you do not want to be sowing seeds into freezing cold wet compost. So if we bring that to room temperature, it will just help our seeds to germinate that little bit quicker and will avoid them rotting. So then we are going to sow our seeds into small pots, seed trays or modules. So I'm going to use these little seed trays, really nice compact trays, and these are perfect because these go on the heated propagator. And then they come with a little lid like this, so that just creates that kind of greenhouse effect. If you don't have a propagator, that's fine, don't worry. You could use like a clear plastic bag or something. You could also sow into pots if you wanted, so you can just use something like this, or sow into modules. Whatever you have to hand will make it work. So fill your tray with some compost. So that is how deep I have filled my tray, using an organic compost. And then we're going to sow our seeds onto the surface of the soil, and then once we've sown them, we're just going to put a couple of millimeters of soil on the top just to cover those up. So in your seed packet, you will have 20 seeds for your tomatoes. There is no need to sow the whole packet. You can if you want. I would never recommend doing the whole packet in one sowing though, even if you do want to sow all of them and have 20 tomato plants, just because things do go wrong sometimes. So if you keep some back, it's just kind of your little insurance policy, so that you can do some more again if required. And also 20 tomato plants is going to be an awful lot of plants to try and manage. So I'm just going to do 5 or 6. So the seeds are really tiny, if you can see there. So we're just going to space them out well. I will show you this. I'll bring it close to the camera. So we're just going to give them enough space. Hopefully you can see that. So we've just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there. So there's enough space for those seeds to germinate and to start their growth. And then we're just going to cover those seeds with a very, very thin layer of compost. And that will just keep them tucked in nicely. So there's no need to go too deep at all. And then with your watering can, I've just got a really fine rose on this, just going to give them a very light sprinkle. You don't need to give them too much water, just enough to start them off. And then pop your little plant label in so that you know which seeds you sowed, and pop your propagator lid on. So I'm going to pop my tray on a heated propagator so that those seeds will germinate with a nice bit of bottom heat. If you don't have a heated propagator, you can pop your seeds in a nice warm airing cupboard or near a warm radiator. So don't overcomplicate it. It doesn't matter if you don't have a heated propagator, but we do want to keep those seeds warm, just because the warmth will kick those into action and start them into growth. So your tomato seeds will germinate within about 14 days. Once you see those little seedlings start to peek through the soil, all you need to do is remove the tray from the heat and take off the lid, and that will just allow the airflow to get to your seedlings. And then you want to move your tray into the brightest, sunniest spot that you have. If you've got grow lights, then feel free to use those, but if not, the brightest, sunniest window ledge is perfect. Just make sure that you pop something underneath to prevent any damage to any paintwork or furniture from any moisture that will come out of the bottom of your tray. And the more light that you can give your seedlings, the better, and it's going to help them to put on lots of healthy growth without them stretching too much. If there isn't enough light, then your seedlings are going to start stretching, and that is when they become leggy. If that happens to you though, do not worry, because we can correct that. So we're going to grow our seedlings on in our nice sunny location, and that is going to help them to develop a good root system. We do need to make sure that we keep them well watered during this time, because our central heating systems are quickly going to dry out that soil. And when our seedlings are about 2 or 3 inches tall, we're going to gently prick those out of our trays and pop them into slightly larger pots like this, and then we'll grow them on there. But I will do another video on that. Unless you have a heated greenhouse, your tomato seedlings are going to need to stay indoors for the foreseeable future. It is far too cold outside for your tomatoes to thrive. and they'll just end up getting killed off by a frost. So really, we do not want to be even considering planting our tomatoes outside until the risk of frost has passed, which is generally around about May time. So while we're waiting for the frosts to disappear, the tomatoes are just going to keep putting on more and more growth, particularly as the days get lighter and that sunlight just gets brighter and brighter. So the chances are we're going to have to put our seedlings on again and again. So basically, if you go into like a 9 centimeter pot size first, and then as you start to see roots coming out of the bottom, we will just start to get gradually bigger and bigger pots, and we're just going to keep repotting it into a larger pot, and those roots will just grow to fit that pot. And then just a final point for the moment, when we do get to the point where we plant out these seedlings, because it is a cherry tomato and it is going to produce an abundance of tomatoes, we just need to bear in mind that we will need to support those stems with some sort of cane or something. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me and I will be more than happy to help you. But I do hope you enjoy sowing these tomato seeds.